I would say good morning, but it's afternoon. I'm grateful to Vanessa and the Bryant family for the opportunity to speak today. I'm grateful to be here to honor Gigi and celebrate the gift that Kobe gave us all. What he accomplished as a basketball player, as a businessman and a storyteller, and as a father. In the game of basketball, in life, as a parent, Kobe left nothing in the tank. He left it all on the floor. Maybe it surprised people that Kobe and I were very close friends, but we were very close friends. Kobe was my dear friend. He was like a little brother. Everyone always wanted to talk about the comparisons between he and I. I just wanted to talk about Kobe. You know, all of us have brothers and sisters, little sisters who, for whatever reason, always tend to get in your stuff, your closet, your shoes, everything. It was a nuisance, if I can say that word. But that nuisance turned into love over a period of time, just because the admiration that they had for you as big brothers or big sisters. The questions, the wanting to know every little detail about life that they were about to embark on. He used to call me, text me, 11:30, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, talking about post-up moves, footwork, and sometimes the triangle. At first, it was an aggravation. But then it turned into a certain passion. This kid had passion like you would never know. And it's an amazing thing about passion. If you love something, if you have a strong passion for something, you would go to the extreme to try to understand or try to get it. Either ice cream, Cokes, hamburgers, whatever you have a love for. If you have to walk, you would go get it. If you have to beg someone, you would go get it. What Kobe Bryant was to me was the inspiration that someone truly cared about the way I played the game or the way that he wanted to play the game. He wanted to be the best basketball player that he could be. And as I got to know him, I wanted to be the best big brother that I could be.
As a leader of a team, it's also your responsibility to elevate the rest of the guys. You have to get them emotionally to want to be better. You have to get them to an emotional space where they wake up every morning driven to be the best version of themselves. And in practice, for me, it was a chance to drive them, to challenge them. And this is where you have to know your teammates. Because if it's late, you just had a back-to-back and you had practice the next day and you show up, and guys don't feel like going through the motions, don't feel like practicing. It's important to know each and every one of them individually, personally, because then you know what nerve to touch. And if practice is more intense and harder than a Game 7 will be, then a Game 7 will be easy. But if it's not, then that's when teams start folding and capitulating. I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. As hard as you believe you can work harder than that. And that's what I tried to do when I first came in the league. But basketball is such a direct competition sport. That competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity. Because I asked a lot of questions. I would always sit down and just ask questions about certain games that I studied growing up. What actually happened there? What did you feel there? Why? I always dreamed as a kid that it was possible to score 80 or 90 or 100. I always just had a dream. Sometimes you lay down in bed and you visualize things. I'd imagine playing for the Lakers, and I'd imagine what the uniforms look like. I'd imagine where we'd be playing, and the smell of the arena and all sorts of stuff. And I would see myself, getting hot. So you just keep dreaming and dreaming and dreaming, and before I go to sleep, I'm like at 120 points, And so when you grow up, downloading that into your brain over and over and over, and then, that summer, I made 1,000 shots a day. 1,000. And they weren't just shots. It were shots that you saw in that game. There were specific shots. It was coming out of the corner, going to the pinch post, footwork in the post, coming off the screen. It was very specific. So when you download that into your system and you go out in court and you're just executing things that you've done thousands of times before, and you have that dream, then that becomes possible. Rudy was one of my favorite films growing up. After watching that film, I come to understand if I could work that hard every day, being blessed with the physical tools that I have, what would my career be? And I made a promise to myself from that day that I was going to work that hard every single day so that when I do retire, I have no regrets. And that was the most important thing for me, is to leave no stone unturned, get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. And that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day, and do that for 20 years, what do you have?
Basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. At 13 years old, I played the longer game because my game wasn't about being better than you at 13. It was to be better than you when the chips are really on the line. So when we played at 13, I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everybody else? Right? Or is there actually thought and skill that you put into it? Right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. Because when you're playing summer basketball, there's so many games. So there's not a lot of skill work being done. So when are you going to get better? Right? When you're playing in competition situations, you're only playing to your strengths. Why? Because you want to win. Right? So what I would do, I was work on the things during those games that I was weak at. Left hand, post game, pull up jump shot. Right? So I have a strategy. And so then fast forward to when I'm 17 and my game is completely well-rounded, and that player at 13 that I saw at 13 is still doing the same shit at 17, now you got a problem. I see a lot of players take vacations with other players that are close friends. It's just to take vacations or just hang out, just to hang out. I never did that.
Why not though? Why didn't you do that?
Well, because when I retire, I didn't want to have to say, I wish I would have done more. I don't want that.
What were some of the factors you looked at on how to improve your game season after season?
The game itself was a complicated answer. So there are very tactical things in terms of footwork and geometry of the court. So you're looking at the court and looking at the 45-degree angles that the court is shaped in and how it needs to operate. That's one component to it. So looking at spots on the floor where you can increase your efficiency. You can be on the wing, but there's a certain spot on the wing that improves your angle to drive to the basket, right? So that sort of stuff. Footwork of the opposition, looking at the emotion of the opposition, their tendencies, their weaknesses, and all that stuff. Understanding the momentum of the game, how to create momentum shifts, where momentum shifts come from, all this sort of stuff. And then studying outside of that, right? Looking at different industries, looking at conductors, looking at writers, looking at actors and how they get into character, and then how do they keep themselves in that mental space. So looking at different industries, looking at nature itself, and learning from that, and how you can incorporate that into the game. Man, it's a lot of studying.
Be yourself. That's it. Be you. Be you. There's no gimmick. You don't have to contrive anything. Who are you? Where are you today? What is your story? Where does that come from?
The most important thing is you must put everybody on notice that you're here and you're for real. I'm not a player that's just going to come and go. I'm not a player that's going to make an all-star team 1 time, 2 times. I'm here to be an all-time great. No, it's funny. Like, to me, the mentality is a really simple one in the sense that the confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before, right? So when I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing. Right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So it's one more time. Michael's a great basketball player, but I'm Kobe Bryant. The most important thing, I think, for players that come after me is to understand that these things are possible. Like, you don't want to ever limit your imagination or limit what's possible, because people may think you're crazy, right? But if us as athletes don't think that it's possible to do these things, how in the world can we inspire people?
Have you ever questioned your ability?
No, not from a physical standpoint. From a physical standpoint, I felt like I could always do what I wanted to do. Mentally, I've questioned it in terms of how am I going to get these guys on the same page? How am I going to lead these guys and make sure we get to that next level? That's always been the thing that I've questioned with myself, is can I motivate these guys and carry them to winning the championship.
When we say this cannot be accomplished, this cannot be done, then we are shortchanging ourselves.
I remember what Babe Ruth said. He swings big and he misses big. Same thing with me. I have no fear whatsoever.
Man, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves, actually. I think it's... is your But there's an element of doubt as far as my game goes, and being old age or something like that. I don't think that holds any value. The fact that I was playing my best basketball before I got hurt. The injury is the thing, right? So we just have to see who's right.
You're going to show up to play, and you're going to lollygag through this scrimmage, through this drill. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to let you know I beat you. I'm going to want you to reconsider your professional life choice. And
I had to separate myself. Because going through that time, it felt like there's so many things coming at once. It was just becoming very, very confusing. I had to organize things. So I created the Black Mamba. So Kobe has to deal with these issues, all the personal challenges. The Black Mamba steps on the court and does what he does. Fuck everyone. I'm destroying everybody that stepped on the court.
Some people sit there and say, y'all keep talking about Kobe being the greatest player in the game today. Y'all don't realize that Kobe trying to be arguably the greatest ever. Your response?
I gotta get a couple more rings.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to?
Yeah, you know what? I won't rest until we do. Cowbell's never blocked my jump shot. And, especially in the Game 7. All that doesn't matter.
When we passed the torch, and Larry Bird and I passed it to Michael. Now here you are, the best player on the planet. When will you think it's time to pass it on to LeBron?
When I retire. Torches never get passed. You gotta earn that.
Has anybody earned it right now on this team? I mean, when you look out there and you see this young core.
No.
Well, not for the face of the NBA, but to lead this team, who's got that killer instinct that it needs to lead the Lakers?
No, because that's not a. If you have to ask that question, and the answer is already there. Those are things you don't have to ask. Those things just happen. The day could be today that your career is over. Now what do you do? I said, I better get to work. Rest at the end, not in the middle. And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest, I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time. Have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle. And I came into the NBA, I was like, man, these dudes really don't work that hard. One of the things I would do is, while everybody would be at the cafeteria, work, eating and doing all sort of stuff, I just go back to the gym. How can I show you that? No, I have the edge. Well, you do it through training, right? So when I get up in the morning, my daughter goes with me.
4 a.m.?
4 a.m. My 15-year-old goes with me. She goes with me before school, and it becomes a daddy-daughter thing.
That's cool.
Through that process, she understands the value of hard work. And so it's through those behaviors is where I find the motivation to do it. I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person, that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. It's not sit around and it's all happy-go-lucky type of thing. If you're a leader, your job is to get the best out of it. You gotta deal with it, face it, learn from it. It's exciting when you win, it's exciting when you lose, because the process should be exactly the same. But the hardest thing is to face that stuff. But what if today is the day that's it. Now what do you do?
Thank you. What can I say? Mamba out.
My parents were great. Growing up, they instilled in me the importance of imagination, of curiosity. And understanding that, okay, if you want to accomplish something, I'm not just going to sit here and say, yes, you can do whatever you want. Yes, you can, but you have to also put in the work to get there, right? So they taught me that at a really early age, man. And when you grow up as a kid thinking that the world is your oyster, all things are possible if you put in the work to do it, you grow up having that fundamental belief.
Who was more influential for you, your father or mother?
Both were influential at different points.
Yeah.
Right. My mom was there on a daily basis. My father was really influential at a really critical time where I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And here I come playing, and I don't score 1 point the entire summer. Not one.
You didn't score once?
Not one.
Were you in the game?
I was in the game.
How'd you not score?
Because I was terrible. Not a free throw, nothing. Not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, 0 points. And I remember crying about it and being upset about it. And my father just gave me a hug and said, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm going to love you no matter what.
Wow.
Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. I have the security there. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60. Let's go.
Right.
And from there, I just went to work. I stayed with it, and I kept practicing.
CW2 Library.